Hey there, it is Ben Gioia from influencewiththeheart.com. Thank you so much for being here. And today we're going to be talking about my 3 simple steps to position myself as a unique thought leader and have a record-breaking year in business without sacrificing my authenticity, integrity, or soul. And I promise that in the next hour, you will have the exact strategies that I used to attract my biggest clients so far, reach tens of thousands of people, and do it all in a way that felt aligned or even still feels aligned and congruent with who I am and what I'm about. I also have a free gift for you. It's a juicy bonus just for staying on till the end of this masterclass, and it is a $97 value. So a couple things before we get started. I invite you to take notes. I invite you to remove any kind of distractions from your atmosphere and an environment. Close the door, shut down things like Skype and Zoom, anything of that nature. Put your phone on Do Not Disturb or airplane mode, or just shut the darn thing off. Turn off all instant messengers. And lastly, tell your loved ones that you are learning some important, valuable stuff that's supporting your business and your success, and that you want to be here and make the most of that time and give yourself that gift. And speaking of gifts, I want to invite you and invite me to get started by slowing down. This is such a busy world, so many distractions. We just went through that list of all these things that we're turning off. So you're here today for a reason. I'm here today for a reason. So let's really be here, right? So I invite you to relax, close your eyes, sit comfortably. I guess if you're driving, don't close your eyes, but sit comfortably. And allow yourself to breathe. And enjoy that feeling of your breath. Nothing to do, nowhere to go. Now I invite you to imagine that everything in your life is a success. Like we're talking full force, unabashed, unapologetic, epic success on your terms. Like every aspect of your life, your health, your wealth, your relationships, your family, your spiritual practice, the joy in how you serve, all of it is a fabulous success. What does that feel like? I invite you to just breathe with that for a couple moments. Just feel that success in your body. And take about 2 more breaths. And start wiggling your toes. And then open your eyes and smile. So welcome back. I hope that felt good for you. It felt great for me. And thank you for giving yourself that gift of presence as we are here together today. So here's what you're going to discover today. You're going to learn the surprising method that you can use, just like I did, to attract 2 of your biggest clients, most lucrative clients, and get your message to 30,000 or more people, even with a tiny email list. You'll understand why a Fortune 100 company would invite you to help them shift culture and increase customer loyalty, even though they hardly know you. You'll see how you can use my simple strategy for turning 1 speaking event into 5 more, opening the door for you to train 479 global leaders and visionaries and speak around the world. And lastly, you'll gain practical, doable strategies and tips that I teach to my clients and audiences worldwide. And this includes thought leaders, speakers, trainers, corporate professionals, coaches, consultants, and leaders. And the first thing I want to do here as we get into the teaching is take a moment to really celebrate you and invite you to celebrate yourself. For the amazing work that you're doing, for the impact that you're creating, for the unique value and gifts that you're bringing to the world. The stuff that you offer is the key to your happiness, your success, and your prosperity. So thank you for what you're doing. Thank you on behalf of all of us who receive the benefit of what you're doing. And again, I wish you, invite you to just really, really acknowledge yourself for doing some amazing stuff in the world. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And here's what I know about you. You have a powerful message that's changing lives, but it's not reaching enough for the right people. And not enough of the right clients are saying yes to you and what you offer. And you want to make that yes regular and sustainable. You know that the value of what you do is 5 to 10x or more valuable, or more, I said that twice, than what you're charging right now. But you're not sure how to help others see that value. And there's a gap between where you are and where you want to be. And you want success on your own terms. I totally get that. I love this quote from my friend Helene Rothschild. She says, "Success is an internal feeling of peace and power, which comes from being who you are and doing what makes your heart sing." So here is to success. And my intention and my promise is that in the next hour, I'm going to teach you as much as I can about how I position myself as a unique thought leader, had all of the successes that I just described, and how you can bring those tools and techniques and strategies into your business and into your life. And checking in about a couple of things, from a place of full integrity and full transparency. The first is that there is no magic bullet for success, right? So keep that in mind as you're learning and discovering today. Take what serves you and apply it to your situation and your personality. Do what serves you. I think about the historical Buddha, who I have a tremendous amount of respect for, and he basically said, don't do what I say because I say it, or because the scriptures say it, or because wise people say it, or because other people are doing it. Do it because you've put it into practice, you've experienced the benefits, and then you know that you can take advantage of that goodness for yourself. And lastly, I'm going to cover as much as I can in the next hour, but apparently I can't teach you everything that I've discovered in my last 23 years. So if you get a lot of value from this time today, later on during the masterclass, I will let you know how you can take this further and expand your training. Cool. So if this sounds fair, type yes in the chat, or feel free to just raise your hand. Thank you. Awesome. Beautiful. So I'm teaching this masterclass today because I believe women have the power to create the biggest positive shifts on earth. And it is my honor and pleasure to serve them and serve you during this masterclass and in all the ways that I can do that. And you might be asking, but you're a guy. Some people have asked me this, and that's okay. So I've noticed a couple things and that I'd like to share with you. So in my history, like I said, of 23 years combination of corporate world, nonprofit world, and being an entrepreneur, the people that I've had the most success with and I've created the greatest impact and the most resonant collaborations have been with women. And while I certainly can't pretend to know what a woman's experience is because I'm not a woman, I have perspectives that I can offer from the other side of the fence, and also being sensitive to the environments that I've been in. And the other part of it, which I think is really, really important, is that the stuff I'm teaching today, the principles that you'll be learning, can be applied by anyone in any industry, right? These are universal principles that work across the board. But what I've noticed is that women have more success and more results with these principles in general. So most women, right? Because they're more willing to be transparent, to be vulnerable, to really open their hearts and their minds to what's possible. And in my experience, most men in this day and age, not all, but most men in this day and age don't have that power, that capability, that strength to step into that space. So that's why I love serving women, and gives me the opportunity to make an impact in my best possible way. So I want to talk to you real quickly about how I got here. um, so I started out as you just saw, as a small person, and then got a lot taller over the years. So a couple things that I want to point out. I've had the opportunity to write a couple of best-selling books, which you can see: Influence with a Heart and Marketing with a Heart. I've worked with a Fortune 100 company to create a mindfulness and empathy video game with them to shift culture and transform their customer experience. I've helped improve quality of life for people with ALS, that's Lou Gehrig's disease, or the disease that Stephen Hawking had, and did that in the state of California, and also received an award from the ALS Association for creating a mindfulness program for people with ALS and their families. I've spoken at Stanford 3 times thus far. Let's see, I launched one of the biggest magazines in the world, which is AARP, the magazine. I've also had experience publishing magazines for both Hearst and Condé Nast publications. I've spoken at the University of Washington and also several times for USANA Health Sciences, both in the United States and in Sydney, Australia. And the reason why I'm sharing all that with you today is not to impress you, but really to impress upon you what's possible when you put your mind to it. Because back before any of this stuff happened, I was such a knucklehead. Oh my goodness, such a knucklehead. And I'll talk to you about a little bit more about that in a couple minutes. But what I've come to really, really understand is a few things. One is, we can do what we set our minds to, and it takes, persistence and patience. It also takes a community of people to support us. So over these last, I guess, 10 years of being an entrepreneur, I've invested quite a bit in my education and in my success, probably about $94,000. Combination of coaching, masterminding, mentoring, products, services, vendors, going to live events, paying for the airplanes and the hotels and the food to go to those events, getting my book published, all those kinds of things. And it's really been amazing and really helpful. And I can't imagine I would not be where I am today without having made those investments. Because, when we're stepping forth, whether we're striking out at the beginning on a new path or taking the next step, up leveling in our business, resistance is going to come up, and it's so much easier to deal with when we have people on our side. And the other thing I've come to understand, originally from mentors saying this to me and then me discovering it for myself, is that the most expensive thing in your business is lost time, and the fastest way to create success is by working with a coach or mentor. So excited to have taken that information to light in this in this stubborn brain I have sometimes, because it's really has served me, and I want to invite you into that thinking if you're not already in that place. So, like I said before, I used to be a big knucklehead. So this is a picture of me in India, in the Himalayas, about a dozen years ago or so. And when I was in India, I was, the first time I was there, it was all about the party train. If you don't know that term, we're talking about drugs and DJs and dancing, and just fun. Like, I did not have a spiritual practice. I did not have, really kind of any grounding, any mindfulness, nothing of that sort. I was pretty much a functional drug addict. Was advancing in my career in the publishing world, making a bunch of money, really having a lot of autonomy and, having a, self-directed life, but, really not realizing the impact, of this lifestyle on myself, and just really, really, not so good as the years progressed. And, as I was coming into my, eighth year of business on my own, where I had, a modicum of success, but not a huge amount. Entering my eighth year, I had $35,000 in the bank and $50,000 of debt. 30,000 of that was on credit cards. Like, it was a mess. I was a mess. And, within the space of that same year, within an 11-month period, I actually 7x'd my income as compared to the year before, got myself completely out of debt. And then a whole bunch of amazing things started happening, one of which was being able to speak at Stanford uh, basically, I guess, two times that year. And the third time was the following year. So beautiful, beautiful opportunities. And these are the things that I want to share with you. Again, the tools and strategies and tactics and the mindset that really, really took me to this place. So let us get cooking, and I will share my recipe for how I did all of this with you. So this is what I like to call, when I looked back at, the last 10 years, was like, how did I do this? And how can I teach this? I realized that it's something that I like to call the Influence with a Heart triple P method, right? So purpose, presence, and pizzazz. That is the triple P method. And the first thing I want to talk about is purpose, because purpose is such an important thing as an individual, in an organization, whatever the case may be, and as just, as a human being living a life, in this, amazing, challenging, miraculous, maddening world that we live in, right? So things about purpose that I've come to understand: that it's not fixed, it's not deterministic, it's not fate, and it's not destiny. What you're doing is you're perfecting what's already inside of you. So it's evolving from your obstacles, your challenges, and from the unexpected opportunities that come into your life. And purpose is not what you have to do, it's what you get to do. Very, very important. So if you're not thinking in those terms already, I invite you to do so. So align with it and express it by becoming who you are. Like, don't spend your time trying to be somebody else. Be who you are. Okay. And purpose is the foundation for how you create and implement an inspiring vision in your life, in your work, and in your world. So whether it's a personal vision or a vision for your organization or for your company, purpose is really the foundation. It's something, that a team can really get behind, and, really is a beautiful, beautiful game changer. And for me, purpose was a very powerful experience in my life, because I had, the first time I was in India, I faced death 4 times in about 72 hours. That's something that you can read about in my book, Influence with the Heart. But what I came to realize from that experience is, the core purpose of why we're here is to be happy. And then from there, doing the things that make us happy, that align with, how we can be in the best and highest possible service. Like, that's the gold of purpose. And then from, the rest, we can figure out what that looks like over time, right? And rather than having like a fixed, rigid definition of what that has to be or has to look like, really, really opening up to just what the possibilities are, when you focus on being happy, serving others, and, expressing your purpose through what you're doing for other people and the planet. So for me, I started out in the first 5 years of my business with a brand and a book called Marketing with a Heart. And I loved it. And, it was my baby and all those kind of things. But over time, as my purpose was evolving, I realized that this was not the whole story. So a couple of years later, I made a shift and went into Influence with a Heart. So repositioned, rebranded. And this really told much more of the story and was much more aligned with who I am and what I'm about. And God, what a difference that made. It was a really, really amazing thing. It's really what, made the difference in my business. It's by being super aligned with my purpose and expressing it in this way. Essentially, I love helping people be the best that they can be, realize their greatness and make a big impact in the world. I did that, and that comes clear in this book. And, I made this pivot just on LinkedIn, right? I didn't even update my website at this point. Made this slight positioning shift. And, that's when 2 of my biggest clients found me, right? Because they could see that I literally was embodying the transformation that I was offering to the world. Like, I was, standing in the power of what I was saying. I was walking the walk and talking the talk. And that really, really resonated with people. Like, one of the companies that connected with me was looking for an empathy expert, and they said, yeah, we interviewed about a dozen people and you were the only one who actually expressed any empathy. I said, what? Wow. So that was really, really good to know. And then the other organization found me because they were looking for a trainer for international business leaders that they're bringing to the States for deep dive kind of trainings. And, they didn't want a rah, 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 like super testosterone kind of speaker. They wanted somebody, more chill, more grounded, and who didn't just deliver inspiration, empty inspiration, but, delivered inspiration and applicable value, pardon me, in the trainings that he offered, or he or she offered. It turned out to be me. So, and that was a beautiful thing. And even though I talk so much about purpose and why it was so important to my success and why it still is so important to my success, it is not the only thing. I want to say, but wait, there is more. Like for a while, I was thinking that purpose is it. And it's, this is the magic bullet. This is the hero. This is the thing that's going to make it all work. And it's a tremendously important component, but it is not the whole story. And especially for me. Now, I was still drowning in a lot of ways, even though I was starting to have these kind of successes. And I started identifying what, these ways that I was drowning and really, really struggling. And it was a lot about scarcity mindset, and not just scarcity around money. There was some of that, but really, all these different nuances of scarcity mindset and some other negative mindsets in there. So time was a big one. Was there enough time to bring my message into the world? Could I learn the stuff that I needed to learn? Basically, I'm getting older. What can I do? Like just all these, stories in my brain. And then I had a scarcity mindset about my ability. Like, can I do this? Do I know how? Am I smart enough? Am I talented enough? I didn't go to school for this, all those kind of things. Scarcity mindset about my own power, really, really tapping into, or not tapping into, the core of my goodness. Like we all have this amazing wellspring of power inside of us, but so many of us don't know or never spend the time to really, really dig in, because a lot of times, we don't know what's possible. And sometimes we might even be afraid to shine our light. So that was coming up for me in a big way. I had a scarcity mindset about my message. Like, is what I'm saying really valuable? Are people going to get it? Are people going to get behind it? Are people going to pay me for it? Right? Like if I'm going to make this a viable business, how's this going to work? And I had a loser mindset about myself because I had spent so many years doing drugs. It's like, if I'm such a loser, and, why are people going to listen to me? Why would people listen to someone like me? So a lot of self-judgment, all that kind of stuff. So the drugs, right? Their party train sooner or later goes off the rails in a big way. So I'd been partying on the weekends for about 15 years, like I said, functional addict. And, I was just getting to this point where just nothing was working anymore. Like didn't like my job, relationship wasn't working. I was really at rock bottom, and I was thinking to myself, God, something's got to change. Right? I need to change this because I can't go on living my life like this anymore. So I thought, like, what can I do? And it's like, wait a minute, I can go back to India because I had been there once before and it had blown my mind, like that whole experience of facing death 4 times, getting to kind of starting to see my purpose through that experience. And I was like, okay, India could really, really help me out. Instead of going on the party train, I'm going to go with a much different attitude. So I went back to India and I had this amazing, amazing experience, the story that I want to share with you that has been absolutely transformational in my life. It's like the core of everything that has happened, right? There's my life before this and my life after this, basically. It's a transformational experience for myself, and it's something that I now teach to all my clients, to all the audiences that I speak to around the world. And it is really, really foundational and endemic to everything I do and how I do it. And it's a pretty funny, simple, super painful story that I'm excited to share with you. So we're in India. I'm in India and just about to go on a 9-day trek. So trek means hike, right? 9 days of hiking, 6 to 8 hours a day. We're at 12,000 feet already. We're in the Himalayas. Every other day, we're going to go over a high pass of 16,000 feet. So, really, like hardcore hiking, hardcore trekking, and my boots are in terrible shape. Oh my God. So, I try to get new boots. Nobody has a size 13. Like, everybody's laughing at me. So, I find a cobbler on the street and I'm like, hey, can you fix my boots, especially the soles? Like, they're all messed up. They're, got no traction and I got to go hike. He says, absolutely. I'll replace the soles with airplane tire rubber. I said, okay. So he replaces the soles and they're great. It's like having a brand new pair of boots. And I'm like, awesome. Thank you so much. How much do I owe you? And he said, wait a minute. Before you pay me, why don't I fix this, this, and this? And he points to a couple of other spots on the shoes. Why don't I fix this other stuff too? I said, absolutely. Thank you so much. It would be my honor and pleasure, to give you more money for doing the great work that more of the great work that you already did. But little did I know that the work he did was actually the beginning of my downfall. So we're hiking along. It's the first day of these 9 days, and my feet start to hurt. And sit down at lunch, take off my boots, and I have two of the biggest blisters on my Achilles tendons. Like the work that he had done, he had repaired kind of the backside of the boots, and there's a little bit of fabric and a little bit of glue, and that was rubbing with all the steps that I was taking. So suddenly I had these two huge blisters, and I remember just like looking up at the sky and just like going, why? Like weeping and being angry and being like, damn it, and being super judgmental of myself, like how could I be such an idiot, and all this kind of stuff, and just story, feeling like a victim, all this stuff. And I'm getting ready to do this amazing thing, and this is the situation. And I realized the only thing I could do was walk forward, literally and metaphorically. The only thing I could do was walk forward. So I started walking forward. Yeah, I had taken my knife and cut the work out of the boots, and then taped up my feet with some moleskin and some first aid tape, all these kinds of things. But the damage is already done, as you can imagine. So we start walking, and every single step is ow, 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 damn it, ow, 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 ow. This is minute after minute, hour after hour, day after day. First day, second day, third day, fourth day. And then sometime on the fourth day, something amazing happened. Like I'm walking along and I'm looking at these amazing mountain peaks. So we're at 12,000 feet and there's these mountains around us, 28,000 feet, the Himalayas. And I'm looking and they look different than they've looked the last couple of days. And I'm like, why do they look different? I'm not on drugs. I know that, but something is different. And then I realized that for the first time, arguably in my entire life, those last 4 days of ouch, 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 with each step that I took, was actually keeping me in the present moment more than I had ever been in my entire life. I was like, this is what they're talking about. This is what, the power of now is, right? Like all that kind of stuff. So I kept walking and, still hurting, but I was starting to, instead of just looking at the mountains, I was starting to actually see the mountains, like, the beauty and the grandeur and the majesty and this, just this amazing gift of this earth. And, ouch, ouch, ouch. But then that started changing as well. And was noticing that. And I said, okay, what's going on now? And I realized that I was actually able to see the difference or experience the difference between pain and suffering. Right? Pain is something that happens in the moment, like ouch. And suffering is the story that I was adding on to it, right? Like, when is this going to be over, and why me, and stupid me, and why didn't I get new boots, and all that kind of stuff, right? The story is all that extra psychic noise, and we create so much suffering for ourselves. So this was an amazing, amazing insight. A, being present, and B, making that shift from suffering, into pain simply by surrendering. So if you haven't figured it out already, presence really is big, became big for me and became central to everything. So I teach, and from presence, I've come to understand and put into practice and teach that you are more influential and you stand out as a leader the more you bring presence into your life and into your behavior. You communicate better, which leads to better relationships. You cultivate emotional intelligence, what you might know as EQ, higher resilience, and more self-esteem, which supports you in being able to serve others and live a happy, healthy, and successful life. So pretty amazing stuff. And you can stop pushing and trying to force things to happen, right? We're taught, so many of us, especially in this culture, especially men, right, to push and force and make it happen. And, the more you're in a space of presence, the more that you understand that you can really, really operate from a place of flow instead. And this was really, really important to me because when I was negotiating my contract with that Fortune 100 company, I was terrified, right? I had all these disempowering beliefs coming up around my capability and around money and the value I was offering and all that kind of stuff around self-worth and confidence. I mean, gosh, so much, so many unpleasant thoughts, so many unpleasant feelings in my body, body, anxiety, worry, fear. I'm not an expert. Like, why did they hire me? All these kinds of things. So much imposter syndrome because it was my first time doing something this big. And, the stuff around money, like, I'm asking for the most money I've asked for to date. And it's more than we had originally discussed because I understood there was a higher level of value that I was offering. But, asking about all of that kind of stuff or getting ready to do that really just scared the hell out of me. And that's why presence is so important. It's, what I like to call the wisdom below the neck, right? It's such a powerful tool. It's the place from which creativity, intuition, compassion, true listening, spontaneity, and empathy all come from. Powerful tools for being a great human being and for being a great leader. And the more you cultivate presence and build your presence muscle, you bounce back fast so you can get yourself and your team back on track. And it really contributes to you seeing the positive and being realistic under pressure, right? And so powerful. Maintaining your self-worth and an open-minded attitude, basically that all is well, even on the surface. And sometimes when the situations around us look like they're absolutely miserable and terrible, you really, really understanding that all is well, not from a Pollyanna place, but from a place of true empowerment. And from presence, gosh, I learned the true meaning of patience. And I'm not talking about the patience that comes from, or the kind of patience that's like, I want this, event to hurry up and quickly be here. But the patience of bearing your own experience, like what's going on inside of yourself as you're, bringing your message to the world, as you're doing big stuff, as you're going for a job interview, as you're, getting ready to propose marriage, like all the kind of things where all these difficult feelings and emotions and thoughts comes up. This is where this kind of patience is so powerful. And patience, contributing to your ability to listen to and express your emotions in a healthy way, like having that awareness on the inside. And patience, because you can't rely on motivation, inspiration, or your mood to get things done. Like all of those things are great when they're available, but sometimes, potentially oftentimes, they're not available. And if we're going to make a big impact in the world and do what we love and, do it up and create the lives we want, we got to do it, regardless of whether we're motivated or not. Cultivating this kind of patience allows you to respond instead of reacting, which will change your life, as I'm sure you already know. And this patience really supports your ability to choose the conversation about a situation, right? So very often there's a circumstance or something going on that we cannot control, but we can choose to have a different conversation about that situation, tell a different story to ourselves about that situation. And it's incredibly, incredibly powerful. And this is a tricky one, but the patience in taking 100% responsibility for what you think, say, and do. This is one of the most powerful things that we can do for ourselves, that you can do for yourself. And it's one of the most difficult things, because there's sometimes when you're like, oh my God, that person, that situation, that president, that global situation, that environment, whatever, is the reason, da, da, da. But when we take back that responsibility, we take our power back in a big way, and then we can do things with it. And lastly, with the patience, more kindness and less self-judgment. And this is for yourself and this is for other people. So such a beautiful, beautiful thing. And again, patience, really is a fruit, a blessing that comes from presence. And the other thing that I discovered over the years from presence is really the true cost of what I like to call the monkey mindset. So you may have heard the term monkey mind before. It's, all the thoughts and all the stuff going on like a monkey, chittering and chattering and jumping from tree to tree and, coming into your room and stealing your purse off the off the dresser and all those kinds of things. But I was thinking about the monkey mindset in my own experience as an entrepreneur. And especially at the beginning when things were especially tough and I had a lot of worry and anxiety and all those, really difficult things coming up. When things got tough, I would often avoid them. I would go eat some ice cream, take a nap, call my mom, check Facebook, smoke some joints, like take a walk to the beach, whatever the case may be. And I realized it was really, really getting in the way of my progress. And I started trying to quantify that, right? Because what you measure is what you can manage. If you're not measuring stuff, it really makes it difficult to manage it. So I was figuring out all the ways, starting to track all the ways that I was wasting time or getting, losing focus. And I'm not talking about self-care when you got to go take a rest, but I'm talking about just, reactive kind of distractions. So 2 hours a day on average for me. I was pretty good at distracting myself. So 10 hours a week, 480 hours a year. If I work for 48 weeks, right, and take a month off, let's say. And if I multiply that by $200 an hour, so the value of my time at that time, that's $96,000 a year. Right? Talk about the true cost of monkey mindset. And so this is why presence is such a powerful thing, because, it's like a muscle. The more you practice being here right now with what you're thinking, saying, doing, feeling, experiencing, in the conversation, truly listening and not just, listening to therefore respond. All of that stuff contributes to your ability to stay present, stay focused, avoid those distractions, and really take back, those $200 an hour, that $96,000 a year, or whatever that is in your life and for your business. And the last part of this, which I think is such a beautiful reminder, is that there's your comfort zone, and where the magic happens 99% of the time is outside of our comfort zones, right? Like we have to stretch and reach because we're bringing amazing things into the world. Very often the gestating before we give birth is uncomfortable, right? We're bringing an amazing thing that we love and care about, and it's our passion and it's our higher purpose. And God, it doesn't feel so good. And, there's all sorts of failures, right? Failures, mistakes, all those kinds of things that happen along the way. So presence, once again, super, super powerful to help you navigate this space and help you to literally become comfortable with your discomfort, or at least to make friends with it and go, okay, yeah, hello, anxiety. I get it. You're here. Hello, worry. Nice to see you again. I'm not going to buy into your story right now. All that kind of stuff. So, yeah, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful power of presence. And that takes us to the third P, which is pizzazz. And pizzazz, sometimes I like to call it personal pizzazz, right? Because we all have our own definitions of our expression of how we do things. So personal pizzazz, right? It's all about your secret sauce, because your secret sauce is what's going to differentiate you from the competition. There could be 50 other consultants out there, 50 other coaches, maybe even offering the same service, the same process, but no one can offer it like you because there's no one like you. And that right here is the gold for your business, for my business, for our companies, for the transformation that we're bringing into the world. And when I think about pizzazz, what can people say about you in your absence? That is a good guide for cultivating pizzazz or identifying the pizzazz that you bring into the world, right? And because very often, one of your clients might say, oh, one of my clients might say, Ben is such a, like such a patient guy and such a good listener. And I would go, oh, wow. That's actually something that I can make sure that I'm bringing into the mix and teaching, because it's had such a powerful impact. And, listening doesn't sound like pizzazz, but it is part of my secret sauce, right? Like I said before, personal pizzazz. And for me, I ask myself and I ask you, how can you create massive value and unique impact so other people do your marketing for you? I should have a question mark at the end of that sentence. But really, the massive value and unique impact, that is the pizzazz right there. And when you do that stuff, that's how you create the evangelists who get the word out for you, and bring other people to you through referrals, through word of mouth, through all that good kind of stuff. And this is something that I learned from one of my first coaches. His name is James Malinchek. And this really encapsulates pizzazz in a beautiful way from a strategic and tactical perspective. People do look for results, solutions, and outcomes. Like, that's why they hire you. But what they really want, like underneath or, supporting those results and solutions outcomes, is your time, your ideas, your strategic thinking, priority access, speed, community and personal connections, special treatment, VIP experience, and or a cocktail story. So within the space of one or many of these things that I just shared, you probably have a place to access and bring forth some beautiful pizzazz and express that, and have that be a method to deliver amazing, amazing stuff to the clients, to your audiences, and to the people that you serve. And pizzazz is not just a theory, or not just theory. This is a picture of me speaking in Sydney, Australia, to USANA Health Sciences. Sydney, one of their global offices is in Sydney, Australia, and I had spoken to them at Stanford, and then they invited me to come speak to them in Australia. One day speaking to an English-speaking audience, and the second day speaking to a Chinese-speaking audience by through a translator. And I had delivered so much value through my previous talks at Stanford. And, I had given everybody signed copies of my books, and I had stayed around for, for pictures, and I had done a whole bunch of pre-work with the event organizers to make sure I really, really understood the audience and served them in the best possible ways. Like, didn't just give, a default presentation. Like, I really, really made it unique to them. And, they were blown away. And at the same time, the event organizers were blown away by the level of care that I was offering, and, that they were able to deliver such value to that audience as well by, facilitating such a speaker such as myself, right? So this dual purpose, this dual pizzazz that I was bringing in, and, this is Stanford. I was speaking to 126 millionaires and above, and they were all going, getting a tremendous amount of value from me. And once again, beautiful opportunity for presence, because when I walked into that room, I went, oh, the big leagues. And it was a beautiful thing because, it was just getting present, reminding myself that, I was there in service to them, in service to my transmission, my wisdom that I'm bringing into the world. And then I was able to get out of my own way and really, really hit it out of the park beautifully. And yeah, this is outside of the USANA offices in Sydney, Australia. Such a powerful thing. And this is where the evangelists really come into place. When people from USANA invited me, they said, "Hey, do you want to come do this?" And I said, "Yes." And they called back and they said, "Hey, we don't have enough time. We don't have budget for it because it's the end of the year and we didn't really plan for it." And I said, "Okay, no worries. Let's try it next year." And they said, "Wait a minute. We're going to sell tickets and fund you coming." So people at USANA, my advocates, my allies, my evangelists, right, who had gotten such benefit from me, they went and they presented, to their employees and colleagues, did a presentation about me. First day sold 160 tickets. And then that's why they added the second day in Chinese. Second day, they sold 330 tickets in like 3 hours. And that was the reason why I could go speak in Australia, deliver an amazing amount of value, and do something that I love, which is speaking, right? Telling my story, delivering value, traveling around the world in this situation, which was brilliant. And then also being in an environment where, as a speaker, as you probably know, but I want to say this out loud just in case, whether it's a live event or a masterclass or a webinar, it's an amazing place to really stand as the expert. There's no competition, right? People in the room are your ideal clients. Like otherwise, why wouldn't they be there? And they immediately and automatically assign a level of authority to you because you're the speaker. And the beautiful thing is that helps them, it gives them confidence in your ability and belief in the value that you offer. So when you make your pitch or your invitation to a program or a product or a service, that they are not surprised or taken aback by the dollar value that you quote to them, because they clearly understand the value that you're bringing. Like you've built all that confidence, you've delivered a bunch of value. And when you finally say, okay, this is the fee or this is the cost for the service, they go, okay, that sounds great. Sign me up. It's a really, really beautiful, powerful thing. Yeah, and like I said, this has worked for a whole bunch of people in a whole bunch of situations. And I want to just share some beautiful feedback that I've gotten. This is from a friend and colleague, Kathleen Keller. She says, Ben Gioia is changing business for the better through what he teaches. I truly believe that his insights about influential communication and leadership will support those people who have ideas and strategies proven to help transform the world, to brand and package what they offer for distribution on a larger scale. Another friend who chooses to remain anonymous, and that is absolutely her prerogative, and I support that and I respect that. Ben Gioia has been, capital B, Ben Gioia has been pivotal in helping me rebrand and reposition my business. His guidance helped me discover my secret sauce and then use it as part of my communications, messaging, LinkedIn page, and in my presentations. His strategies also helped us attract more socially responsible clientele, which has been my goal. I'm delighted with the increase in business, that I'm working with bigger clients and doing the projects that we love with organizations that are doing good in the world. Oh God, beautiful, beautiful. And the last one that I wanted to share from an amazing woman, Kathy Gertz. She said, Ben offered a wise, listening ear when I was faced with an unexpected opportunity to transform my personal brand and take my career in a new direction. His thoughtful questions and insightful feedback crystallized what my intuition had been telling me, to fully align my professional skills and expertise with my personal mission to be a force for good and catalyze meaningful positive change. Inspired by Ben's coaching, I found the position I love. God, it was so great. So excited to hear that from Kathy. Really, really just touched my heart in a big way. So that is the nutshell of today and the stuff that I wanted to share and the impact that that's created. And just ask you to think for a moment about what you've learned, and I will give you the quick recap, right? Presence and purpose and pizzazz, right? This is what I call the influence with the heart triple P method. This is what I put into place to have this record-breaking year in business where I 7x my income, where I positioned myself as a unique thought leader, where I stayed in that space of authenticity and integrity, and got the two big clients and got my message to 30,000 people, without the email list, because of the clients that I was working with, like their networks and the people that they could reach. How I turned one speaking gig into 5 and got to speak to these global leaders around the world, and how that continues to generate for business, for future business to me, for me, because basically, if you think about it, this year's customer experience is next year's income. Beautiful, beautiful. So I know we have limited time and I want to respect that, but given the time that we've already spent together today, did I do a good enough job here with the training? So even if you left the room right now, I please stick around. But even if you left the room right now, you would have solid strategies that can help you be more profitable and successful. Awesome. Awesome. Great. Great. Well, thank you so much for being here and continuing to be here. And I want to make an invitation to you, for you. It's something that I'm really, really excited about, and it's really something that comes from my heart and, directly to you. And it's called the Thought Leadership Overhaul. And it's a coaching, intensives, and mastermind program. And the intensives themselves, I'm going to talk about the program bit by bit. The first one's called Thought Leader with a Heart. Second one is called Amplify Your Influence, and I'll get into the details about these in a little while. Just want to give you a snapshot of the intensives themselves. The third is called The Dollars That You Deserve. Fourth is Louder Than Words Leadership. The fifth is called the Magnetic Attraction Factor. And the sixth is your KPC, your Key Positioning Currency. And let's look at each of those in a little more depth. So Thought Leader with a Heart, this intensive focuses on positioning yourself as a unique thought leader in people's minds and in their hearts, right? So you really stick with them. This leaves people asking for more and telling others about you. And it keeps you out of the competition game, which is so much better than having to lower your rates and working more, right? So you just step out of that game entirely and allow people to come to you. The next one, as I said before, is Amplify Your Influence. So you want to magnify your ability to reach, attract, and yes, influence. I'm going to use the word twice. Influence the people around you. And as you're doing it, or because you're doing this, this allows you to build your brand, your reputation, and your authority with authenticity and integrity. And that's really the stuff that stands out. And the beautiful thing, one of the many beautiful things about this is you can impact your workplace, your team, and the people, and thereby the cultures around you. The third intensive is called The Dollars You Deserve. And this is so important to be able to easily talk about the unique value and benefits of what you provide, and that your best fit clients actually care about. And with the dollars that you deserve, you're able to raise your rates 5x or 10x or more, so you can stand out, make more money, serve more of the right people, and make a bigger impact. And lastly, because perceived value is so powerful, your clients, colleagues, and collaborators will get better results from their relationship with you, right? So it almost sounds counterintuitive, but if you raise your rates, people are going to get better results, you're going to make a bigger impact, and you're going to stand out more of an expert because your rates are higher. And it's not just willy-nilly raising your rates, but really, connecting that to the value that you provide and the transformation that you offer. Fourth is louder than words leadership, right? Like actions speak louder than words. And sometimes we need words too. But in this intensive, you'll learn how to be an example of what you offer to the world, so more people will be inspired by your ideas, vision, message, or movement. And with this inspiration, they will take action. Connect with the depths of your power so you can be in flow instead of pushing and using force, right? Like who needs to struggle? It doesn't mean we're not going to work hard, but struggling really doesn't get us to where we want to be, and is not the way to be the leader that we need to be, whether we're leading one person or 10 or 10,000 people. And operate from the place of all is well and that life is happening for you so you can be the leader that you truly are, right? So if you think that things are against you and everybody's against you and all that kind of stuff, like, you can't express your purpose, your goodness, or the core amazingness of your leadership. And that's why this intensive is so important and so powerful. The fifth is called the magnetic attraction factor. And this is where you'll create instant connection and rapport with your ideal client. This is face-to-face, on stage, online, or on the phone. Same principles apply to all of the situations. Really, really powerful, high leverage kind of stuff. You'll cultivate relationships and regular referrals that are win-win-win, right? So you're not only attracting clients directly to you, but the clients that you're attracting to you are also attracting more clients toward you as well. Beautiful, beautiful thing. And in this case as well, you're impacting your workplace, your team, and the people, and thereby the cultures around you. So, attracting the right clients, keeping, attracting the right employees, keeping a higher level of engagement, creating great collaborations and partnerships, all that stuff comes from this magnetic attraction that comes from who you are and what you're about on the inside. And then all of this gets expressed through what I like to call your KPC, which is your key positioning currency, right? And in this intensive, in this program that I'm offering, we'll work on create together your LinkedIn summary and tagline, your elevator pitch, a very clear expertise framework, that's compelling and that people understand, and they want to ask you more and understand more. A short bio and introduction for when you're introduced on stage, or when you're introduced for a podcast, or even when somebody's making a referral for you, something really, really powerful that leaves an instant impression of authority and expertise. A brief offer description. So whether it's a book, a program, a speech, whatever that thing is, being able to talk about it in, a small, compelling, concise, clear way is really, really powerful. And it gives people confidence in who you are and what you're offering to them, or, to the people that they serve. And then we'll also work on an about statement about you or about your company, whatever's appropriate for your needs during our coaching together. And lastly, we'll identify and select your best stories. So you don't need stories like my experience of facing death 4 times in India. Not at all. I mean, if you have some of those and they are relevant to who you are, what you offer, and how you can connect the dots from yourself to the people that you serve, then great. But stories don't have to be all, any of the loud pizzazz, right? It's the, like I said before, the personal pizzazz. What is going to connect the dots, create the bridge between who you are, what you offer, and the best possible people that you serve. Those are your best stories. And then the beautiful thing about KPC, about your, getting these 7 things together, is that they are the foundation. Because thanks to your KPC, you get more clear on your strategy and clear and aligned on your strategy, clarity on your ideal client, digging in deeper, how to serve them even better. You get more clear on your messaging, right? In whatever environment your messaging is coming across. You can speak more powerfully in terms of your offer, right? Because your messaging is stronger and your ideal client better, and you have a better understanding of your own strategy, then your offer comes across as just pure gold. And you have clarity around whether you're doing a speech or a training or a keynote or all three, right? Having that core stuff in place, really cascades out into everything else. That's why I have this picture of, the champagne pouring in the top glass and spilling over into the glasses below and then spilling over into the glasses below, right? You can't start from the bottom up. You can't fill as quickly, as effectively, and it's literally impossible to pour up against gravity, right? Like you can't start at the back end without taking care of the front end. And that's why the KPC is so important. And a couple of other applications, which will really present you as a unique thought leader, offering a coherent set of information and guidance and insight to the world, is that with that clear KPC, you can do something like an expertise series, a bunch of articles, a white paper, a series of podcasts, a series of blogs, a telesummit, anything like that. Again, because then your branding is super aligned, your positioning is clear and relevant and unique, and your authority comes through in a big way. And then lastly, if you've written a book, if you're getting ready to write your next book, being clear and aligned on every level of your messaging, what I like to say, from something as small as a tagline to something as big as a 4-day training, having a handle on that, knowing what's relevant to you, to your audience, to the transformation that you offer, and being able to encapsulate that into a book. God, talk about authority, right? Talk about unique thought leader positioning. Me writing my book, Influence with a Heart, which I actually wrote in 5 weeks because of a speaking event, really, really changed people's perceptions of me very quickly. Now, I'm going to pause for just one moment and take a sip of water. Thank you. That was probably several sips. So here's how it works, the thought leadership overhaul, when we kind of get into brass tacks, as they say. So the thought leadership overhaul intensives, TLO intensives, there are 6 live interactive group sessions. They're 90 minutes each, and there are recordings available. So if you can't make it to a session, recording is always there. And the beautiful thing is that you can always go back to some stuff you learned to get some extra language, stuff like that, and really reinforce the learning and the discoveries from those intensives. You'll get a strategic one-on-one coaching call with me, 60 minutes. And then there's also a Thought Leadership Overhaul private Facebook group. And all of this is in the context of what I like to call the Thought Leadership Overhaul Magnificence Mastermind, because I think masterminds are amazingly powerful tools, systems of support, and places for us to create massive success among people that we align with and care about, and amazing peers. So investment wise, or value wise, I should say, sessions, the intensives themselves are valued at $4,497. The one-on-one coaching is $497. The private Facebook group is valued at $497, and the Magnificent Mastermind is valued at $1,997, giving a total value of $7,288. And here's where it gets even better, because like I was saying before, I like to give massive value as I create and offer my stuff to the world. So here's the 4 things we just talked about. For a total of $7,288, the 4 core pieces. And then on top of that, add a bonus of a live kickoff event, 2 hours long. The value is $997. And this way, when we get into the intensives themselves, those interactive group sessions, and when we're doing the one-on-one call together, a whole bunch of, we're really hitting the ground running from this kickoff. Another bonus is a program that I'm creating right now called Write It Like You Mean It. This is a copywriting program and communication program, really. So really being able to bring your messaging across in all different kinds of environments and write clear, compelling, powerful, compassionate copy, right? Like 80% of what you would hire a copywriter for, you can do for yourself with this kind of program, with this program specifically. That's valued at $497. And then my third bonus for you, call it something called the leverage factor. This is a project planning and time planning framework, basically, to really, really leverage, your time and your ability to make the best use of what's available to you and to make the best choices for what's going to support your business, your success, your happiness, and your health, right? All of it, because you can't have successful, healthy, happy life or business without any other one of those aforementioned things. So the value of all of that together, the new value is $9,279. A lot of amazing, amazing stuff. And I'm so excited to share this with you. Your investment for this whole program is only $1,500 US. A heck of a deal. And I'm so excited to be able to offer this to you. So you have two payment options that you can take advantage of, whichever one suits you. If you do one payment, you'll be able to save $225 instantly. So rather than $1,500, you're at $1,275. So for a one-time payment, or if you prefer, you can do 3 easy payments over the next 3 months. So an initial payment, and then 30 days later, and then 30 days after that, $525 each time. Again, whichever one works best for you. Delighted and excited to make that available to you. If you are already a yes, check out the, not sure which direction I'm pointing in, but check out the information next to this video and click the green button. And, I want to applaud you for taking immediate action, because, action is the first step in creating powerful transformation in our lives. And I want to tell you some more details, things that you should know about the program. This is a very special offer for a limited time. There's limited space. What I do is I take 8 people, only 8 people in the coaching groups, to make sure that everybody's getting a bunch of hands-on interactivity and time with me. And this is how I can help deliver the best possible results. So limited space and limited availability, meaning that you need to take advantage of this offer by midnight Pacific time Sunday. Okay, so I invite you to take advantage right away, but if you need a little bit of time to think about it, that's okay. You have a little bit of time to make the choice. And you might be asking some questions at this point, and as you should, right? Is the thought leadership overhaul for me? And I'm going to say a couple things about that. First of all, it's not for everybody, but it is for you if you make a fast pivot in your business and create real success in less than 90 days. And it's also for you if you have a vision, message, or movement that the world needs right now, right? And there's no time to wait. This program is for you if you don't expect that life will be any different when you wake up tomorrow, if you don't step into what's possible today, right? And another question you might have, is this just one more of those automated marketing systems? It's a good question. Now, most of those marketing webinars and automated client attraction systems are either hype-filled or incomplete. Like, all that stuff is pretty much par for the course these days. I'm sure you've seen a million of them. It's like having a company website. By itself, a company website doesn't get you sales, clients, or really anything. It's a necessary component, but it's not the thing that makes a business work. It's your secret sauce that sets you apart and makes it all happen. This is where leads, calls, and sales all come from, right? Because things like Facebook ads aren't magic. They only work if you can compel people to listen to you. And that all starts with something like the thought leadership overhaul. And another important question, will it pay you back? Will it pay me back? I'll ask you some questions and just for your reflection. If all this did was help you attract more of the right people so you could make a bigger impact in the world, would that be worth it? Another reflection, if all this did was give you the confidence to increase your rates 5x or 10x or more, would that be worth it? Another reflection, if all this did was get you one extra new client a month, would that be worth it? You know the answers to all these questions. If all this did was help you create success on your own terms, would that be worth it? Beautiful. Now, there's absolutely no risk in taking part of this program. You can't lose. And if you can read my handwriting, I guarantee that you'll be successful if you do all the work, follow all the guidance, and play full out during the thought leadership overhaul. And in case you're not successful, I will work with you until you are. Cool? Cheers, Ben. So imagine, right? Imagine having a record-breaking year like I described before, right? Like imagine having an experience like Kathy, who I talked about before, rebranding and repositioning and really standing behind yourself and being a positive force for good, pivoting in your career. Imagine living without debt. Imagine living on purpose, aligned, waking up every day really excited about what you're doing. Right? Imagine creating the successes, the kinds of successes that I've talked about during this program. And really, leads to that question of what if, like what's possible? What if you could find your way to new clients quickly, right? And stop being in the competition game. Like, what would that look like in your life? What would that look like in your family? How would that be with your kids, being able to spend more time with them? Right? Like, what if you could bring your gifts to the world, bring your ideas to the world, bring your leadership to life in a way that you'd never have before? Like, imagine the people that you're going to influence. And what if they take that inspiration from you and they tell others about you and they become your evangelists and they do their marketing for you, right? And what if more and more people step up in this kind of way and we all can truly be the change that we want to see in the world? What if, right? And if you think about it, it just starts with a click, and now's the time. So, click that green button and go see what's possible, right? Join me in the thought leadership overhaul. So many opportunities to do a bunch of powerful deep work that you're going to love, that is going to transform your experience and create these amazing ripples in the world around you. And when you click on the green button, it's going to take you to a page that looks like what you see on the right. And when you scroll down and click buy now, you'll have those two payment options available. Like I said before, $12.75 for a one pay option, or $3 easy payments of $525. Either way that works, and I'm so excited to make both of those available to you. And remember that this is a limited time offer. There are only 8 spots available, so make sure you grab your spot soon by clicking the green button. Also remember that there's no risk for you, right? There's a reason why you're here for this masterclass today. I'm so excited you're here. Thank you for coming. And other people are going to jump in today and create success for themselves. So why not you? Just to wrap up, a few important questions came through during the masterclass, so I want to answer the big ones for you. The first one comes from Maria. She says, if I don't invest midnight Sunday, can I get the program at a later date? Maria, thank you so much for asking, but not in the way that I'm offering it right now. Like the level of interactivity that I'm offering, the bonuses, and even the pricing. There's no guarantee that any of that's going to stay the same. So this is a really, really special opportunity, and I just invite you to click the green button and take advantage because, as you know, there's no risk in moving forward. Question from Tanya. Tanya, thank you so much. I know I need to get myself out there because I have an important message for the world, and I want to as well, and it still scares the heck out of me. What can I do? Well, Tanya, thank you for sharing this and being vulnerable and honest with your feelings. I totally get it. I totally hear you. And what I have noticed is taking action is the most powerful thing that we can do in these kind of situations. When we're scared, right? Getting into motion is a powerful move that really, really builds on itself. So I invite you to to come be a part of the thought leadership overhaul and get your message out there and really work in that space of deep, powerful presence with me, and we can make friends with that part of you that gets scared and not have that stop you anymore. And question from Claudia, I love what you're teaching, but I don't want to work with people the same way that you do. I guess it's not so much a question, Claudia, but it's a good point, and I appreciate you saying that. You don't have to work with people the way that I do. I was telling a story throughout this masterclass. So whatever your version of success on your own terms, like I said before, whatever that is for you, the principles and practices and strategies that I taught through this masterclass can be applied in whatever your situation is, and you should create the success that you want to create in the way that you want to create it. I invite you to. And in that way, you'll be a powerful, positive example for the people in your life, the people that you love, and the people that you serve. So thank you again, Claudia. Okay, so this offer is just going to stay up, here on the screen for a few more minutes, a couple more minutes. So I invite you to click on the green button and open up a new window, right? Like make sure you don't miss the deadline here. Right. Like I said, Sunday evening, midnight, but get that window open so you have access to it. And remember the bonus that I talked about at the beginning of this masterclass, valued at $97. There's a download available at the bottom of the order page. You'll see that very, very clearly. So that's where you can get your hands on that. And I'm so excited to offer that to you as well. And, just wrapping up, I want to say thank you. Gosh, such a gift to be here with you and to be able to do the things that I love and serve you and support you in this kind of way. So if the only thing that you got out of today was just some great training and some great insights, even if you're not joining the Thought Leadership Overhaul, that's totally okay. Like, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad that I get this opportunity to serve you and give you value. And, I look forward to bringing another opportunity to you in the future, so we can collaborate together and I can serve you then, if that makes sense. So thank you for that. Just as we wrap up, we're getting, right down to the end. So gosh, just, keep being you, keep being amazing, keep bringing your goodness into the world. And if I can support you in doing that through the Thought Leadership Overhaul or some other kind of program in the future, I invite you to say yes to yourself and take action and get it moving. Thank you so much. This is Ben Gioia. You're amazing. I appreciate the opportunity again to serve you, and I look forward to catching you soon. Cheers.